Alex Answer here. It is November 4th in the year 2017. So I think this topic is quite timely. Now, at the moment, you know, to be super timely, there's not a lot of sun out. It's actually pretty dark. I don't even have enough to run the computer. I can go run the generator, right? So there's less light, thus, there's less energy to run my electronic devices. So conservation is needed. That's one of the reasons why it's easier for me to do an audio recording. Get this to you this Saturday afternoon, and some information for you to contemplate on this full moon, because the topic here is understanding. We're going to play some audio here from another channel, but understanding how we have less prana, if you will, when we're going into the winter seasons due to less light outside. So I think the topic that this individual, and I'll just let him share for himself, but it resonates with me. You know, there are particular times in which we have more energy and we have less energy. And I'll also note that a lot of people are on the internet more during those winter months. So some people, he talks about some people fall. I've noticed a lot of crazy behavior on the internet in the winter months. Of course, you have people, doing other things when it's spring and summer. And also, people may have a little bit more going on within their aura. They may have a little bit more spiritual armor, if you will, as opposed to the winter months. Now, someone can mediate this by living a healthier lifestyle. And before we play his video, I want to recommend again the importance of bringing in your own energy, knowing what that entails, grounding, of course, mirroring back certain energies that aren't a part of your reality. And a lot of people out there are running around not even realizing that there are things in this world that are infecting them on a conscious level because they haven't put up a boundary, because they haven't put up a shield, because they're not mirroring back, those energies and influences that wish to hijack or hack their consciousness. So all this is a part of a healthy mind, body, and spirit. Think about those things that you need to change in your own life to maintain that power and focus within your body this winter. But also notice how they try to get us on days like today afraid of Antifa and events in the streets when it's manufactured. And again, during a full moon. So there's something out there that wants our energy. We need to keep our energy, right, inside our own bodies. And partake in healthy actions. Find a meditation that works for you, right, that's going to promote that healthy mind, body, and spirit. So without further ado, we will go ahead and hear this audio from the YouTube channel, Reprogram the Matrix. And he talks about why he names it Reprogram the Matrix over Escape the Matrix for the name of his video series. Because we're in the Matrix, we need to reprogram it. As I often say, break the codes of the Matrix, which is a little bit more specific than escape the Matrix. We can't just escape this reality. We need to evolve how we're existing in this reality. On with the video.
Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy Astro Sosa and welcome back to the channel. In this episode, I wanted to go ahead and share some information to all the connects out there that it's Halloween. And this Halloween energy, we know this Halloween energy because we've been talking about this for years. You should know by now we're going into fall. So already just the word alone, just the energy, how it's changing, how it's shifting, and it's getting colder. We know that there's going to be a lot of people falling during this time. There's going to be less soul out. When you get less soul, that's less energy. So if you have less energy, that's less energy that you can put into your shields to protect yourself. So if your energy is low and you don't have the right protection, your shields are going to be low. And guess what? That's how they're able to get you into this fall. And it's not that they're really able to get you into the fall. It's to get yourself into the fall. You get what I'm saying? Like, because none of these agents or anything, they can't actually do that much stuff to you. They could vamp your energy and things like that, But when it actually comes down to lowering your consciousness, that's all on you. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything, because I've been there too. You know, I've had my falls and everything, but I've learned how to combat, you know, pretty much through those falls. I learned how to navigate the matrix. I learned, you know, how to ride the wave. I'm not crashing into the wave and drowning inside the wave. You know, I'm surfing on top. So I'm trying to get you guys to surf on top too, because it gets lonely surfing by yourself or only surfing with a few people. Like, we want a big group, you know what I mean? But really, you know, like, you just got to realize that during this time, a lot of people fall. A lot of people, they get off of their spiritual path. Not just their spiritual path. I mean, everything, when it really comes down to it, once you become spiritual, everything is your spiritual path. But your mental and your physical path as well. You know, a lot of people fall with their physical success. A lot of people fall with their mental success. They may have certain things they need to study for, certain things that they got to do at work or whatever, and they just fail to do it. They just don't hit their goals. They just don't accomplish the things that they need to accomplish. Or they start getting lazy during this time. Like I said, that energy, soul is not providing the same amount of energy it provides during spring, when you're springing up. If you want to get your vibration really high and you really want to work, if you're doing that along, you know, springtime, that energy is going to help spring you up into summer, where now, you know, you're burning hot. Now, you know, the volcano is erupting and you're taking over. You know, you're all that hot lava. And I'm talking about taking over, you know, yourself, having control over yourself, because a lot of people don't. But springtime, it helps boost you up. You get what I'm saying? But when you start to become in control, you can spring yourself up during any season. And that's what this fall is about right now. You get what I'm saying? And it's Halloween, because it's Halloween energy that is happening right now as we speak. And it actually has been working itself up, because I went through attacks. I've seen other people go through attacks. There's a lot going on right now, and I'm sure some of you are going through those attacks too. And if you haven't went through them, you might have been observing how other people were going through them. Because Halloween, and I've talked about this many times, so I'm not going to go really deep into it, but Halloween is dealing with a darker energy. This is why people are dressed up as, you know, vampires, dressed up as goblins, you know, and different things like that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with goblins and, you know, trolls and stuff like that, because some of those tools I use, you know, on my altar. You get what I'm saying? Like, I use those types of tools when I'm tapping into some darker energies, getting into the shadow work. You get what I'm saying? I'm going to have to make a video on the shadow realm, because there's been a lot of shadow realm entities and things, you know, pretty much moving through the grids right now. So I'll get into that later, though, in another video. But I'm not saying those, you know, you can't use those types of tools, and you can't even be friends with something like that, because sometimes, think of it like a jail. You know, jail, they might separate into different groups, but sometimes they know that they need to get something, so they'll work with the other group to get it done. You get what I'm saying? Or if they're all threatened by something, they might work together to beat that threat, and then it's back to, you know, divide and separation. You know what I'm saying? Divide and conquer. But we're trying to come together. We're not trying to be divided and conquered. You get what I'm saying? We're trying to all come together, put our differences aside, and rise up to our highest potential. And our highest potential is our spiritual potential. You see? So spirit isn't having all of this stuff go on for no reason, because everybody goes through their trials and their tribulations. Everybody gets tested. Sometimes people think, like, why is all this stuff happening to me? Why me? Why do I gotta go out through this stuff? Why don't they go through? Everybody goes through this stuff. Everybody has their trials and tribulations. Everybody's getting tested by spirit. And spirit will use some of these different negative people to come at you to test you. You might say, oh, I'm turning up. You know, my vibration's going higher. Spirit sends somebody in to test that. Is your vibration going higher? Let's see. And then boom, as soon as you get tested, your ego activates and you're turning into a snake. You're dancing around in the snake pit now, messing with the kundalini energy, thinking you're getting somewhere. Man, you people really, and I'm not saying like all of you out there, I'm talking about those people out there that they know what the truth is. They know what's going on in their heart, but they allow their ego to take control. You people out there that do that, if you really want to wake up, you got to make that other choice. You got to make a different decision than the decisions that you have been making. If you want to get onto this new path, if you want to get onto the true higher vibration, You see, because a lot of people, their vibration starts to raise up, they're feeling good, they're getting into their spiritual path, and then boom, one of these tests come along to test you, to see, are you on your path? Are you taking things seriously? Are you putting in the work? Do you have heart? Do you have determination? Do you have the willpower, the self-discipline? You know, all of those great qualities. Do you have it? You do. It's right inside of you. But a lot of you guys have all that potential blocked up. It's all boxed up. That's why you're feeling all this pressure. You see, people are like, man, there's so much pressure from the world. I feel like there's this weight on my shoulders. I'm carrying the world on top of my head and all this type of stuff. You're creating that. You're the one that's creating the box. You see, and yeah, some of the outside stuff that has happened to you, some of the different energies from these outside sources may have, gave you that split decision of, do I want to do this or that? But you kept picking the wrong way. You kept making the wrong decision, even when you knew it was wrong. But you can't blame nobody else but yourself when it comes to that. You know, if you're in a low vibration, you can't blame anybody, because your vibration is always determined by you. So you can't blame an agent for activating your ego, because you should be in control of your ego. You can't blame an agent for pulling your emotional strings and getting you all emotional, because you control your emotions. You see? So pay attention to these things, because they're using this today, and they're going to be using it for the next following, couple of months. And then they're going to switch up the energy again a little bit. The energy is going to shift. You see, it's always shifting. You just got to learn how to ride the shifts. You got to learn how to navigate through the shifts so that when it's shifting, you're shifting. You get what I'm saying? When it's moving this way, you move this way with it. When it's moving, upward, you get up and you start moving. That's how you got to move in this matrix system. You can't stay still, because if you stay still, eventually the boat's going to get rocked over on the wave and you're going to fall in the water. And the boat's going to eventually flip over and you're not going to be able to get back in the boat. Then eventually the boat's going to sink down with you. And then from there, you're in those deep, dark places. The bottom of the ocean is deep and dark. You're drowning. You're a lost soul. The only way you can see is if your spiritual eye is open in that darkness. So sometimes when you get deep into that darkness, only somebody with their spiritual eye can save you. Because they got to dive deep into that darkness where nobody else can see and pick you up. Because you can always rise up. It's always a choice, but you got to really want it. You got to put in the work. And this is why they're using that Halloween energy every year during fall to get you to fall. Because they know this is the time when a lot of people are weak, when it starts getting cold outside. You know what I'm saying? When there's not as much soul shining, when the electricity is low and the magnetism can be high. But if you don't have control over your magnetism and it's not flaring out the way it needs to be, then they're going to be pulling you in with their magnetism. You get what I'm saying? So think of it like a black hole. And this negative energy pulls everything that isn't strong enough to put its place, to mark its place in the world. If it's not strong enough, it gets pulled into that black hole. And then that energy, it gets sucked through and redistributed out through the matrix again. And then you're back in the cycle. That's what they're doing this Halloween. They're going through your desires. They're going through your emotions. They're going through, your dreams. Every single thing that they can do to get to you. And it's not even that it's they. It's the system itself. You see, we live in a man-made matrix system. But outside of that man-made matrix system, there's an original one. And even that original one has things set up for you to get tested. To see who's ready to move on, who's ready to graduate this university, this universe. You see, they call it a planet because it's been planned. Plan it. Everything has been planned to set you up to stay here or to set you up to make you free. So this is a place where you're going to get tested, but it's not about the test. It's about what choices you make when you're getting tested. It always comes down to that choice. When a man cheats on his woman, he gets that choice. Should I cheat on her? That goes through their head every single time. And they say, oh, nope, I'm going to go ahead and do what I want to do. Then there's those ones that say, oh no, I wouldn't do that to my woman. But then the next thing you know, his woman, she's cheating on him. You get what I'm saying? That's why so many people, that get married, they get divorced. Because nobody trusts each other anymore. And this is what's going on. And this isn't going on just in Halloween. This is just a big time, and it's a good time to take advantage of people while the electricity is lower. So if you don't have enough electricity and you don't know how to regenerate that electricity within yourself, then you're going to be lacking it during winter. You're going to be lacking it during fall. And those people that they can't get during fall, they're going to definitely try to get them during winter. And during spring, they're going to still try, but it's going to be a lot harder because there's going to be a lot more energy. So I didn't even mean to make this video so long. I was just really wanting to go into Halloween and how they're going to be using your desires and things like that to try to get to you. They were trying to get to me. I seen them trying to get to other people. And sometimes you pass, sometimes you fail, but you got to learn from your mistakes. Once you learn enough from those mistakes, eventually you don't make the mistakes anymore. You get what I'm saying? I'm at a place where I don't make the same mistakes that I used to make. I still make mistakes, but all the ones that I've been through before, I've learned from them now. You see? And that's how it works. You keep learning from your mistakes. Eventually your vibration gets high enough that you can't even make the same mistakes to get back onto that old route that you were in. That old cycle that you were in. The man-made matrix keeps it so that you're programmed into a cycle that they created. But then there's the regular matrix, the real matrix, which is still a hologram, if you will, which is still, a virtual reality, a light realm, whatever you want to call it, right? It's a simulation, right? You need to watch World on a Wire if you haven't watched that. It's a German movie, but it's a good movie, and it has a lot of information. And it came out a long time ago, and they had a lot of interesting concepts and things that they talked about in that movie. And you should go ahead and go watch that, instead of going out trick or treating. You get what I'm saying? Just think of the wordplay, trick or treating. You see, and they get all these kids and everything tied into that sexual energy. You get what I'm saying? And then even the women. During this time, a lot of women, they're going to want to dress up and show their sexual side and things like that. But a lot of women end up making mistakes during this time. So, you just got to think about that. Because there's nothing wrong with dressing up and stuff and having fun and everything. But at the same time, are you attracting the type of energy you really want to attract? You get what I'm saying? But you may want to attract that energy. That's just, it is what it is. But I'm just saying. This is the time where a lot of the tests are going to happen. I'm just going to go ahead and end it there because really people just have to recognize that, things are always shifting. And if you're not shifting and when I'm saying you shift along with the shift, I'm not saying if everything goes negative, go negative. It might be the total opposite. When everybody's going negative, you go positive. When everybody's going positive, you go negative. You get what I'm saying? Because you don't want to follow the sheep. You don't want to follow the sheep. All right? So the sheep are the drones. The drones are the sheep. You see, and then the true wolf. Speaking of my shirt, the true wolf, is the wolf in sheep's clothing. But they'll try to make you think the wolf in sheep's clothing is evil. But there's two different types of wolves. You see? Sometimes you got to be the wolf in sheep's clothing, but it doesn't mean you're an evil wolf. Sometimes you have to be, the sheep in the wolf's clothing. You get what I'm saying? But it doesn't mean you're weak. You got to think of things differently, and start thinking differently tonight, today, when everybody else is doing this underworld stuff. It doesn't mean you got to do it with them. All right, so peace in and out with love, the highest vibration.